Hello, Internet friends. This is Danielle Pierce, creator of Real Estate Profit Lab and Property Preservation Mastery. As always, come into the room, say hello, let me know how you guys are doing today. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning in tonight. And if you are a brand new to the channel, welcome back. And hopefully you guys have been paying attention over the last several days. I've been going live every night, roughly at 7 o'clock. Last night I was a little bit late. You can go back and watch the video if you've missed it. But basically, we're talking about property preservation, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So with that in mind, we are sharing all about the pros and cons of the industry. Yesterday, we talked about property preservation versus flipping, versus tax liens, and versus buying real estate and holding it in terms of which option will be the best suitable for depending upon the person that we're talking about. So if you missed that video, please go back and watch it. All the videos are going to stay up on the YouTube channel on this particular playlist. So they're not going to disappear like some of our other videos have. I like to start with highs and lows. I mentioned before I got this from my business partner, Thomas Stovall. And so let me go first. All right, so high for today. I just had this wonderful red velvet cake from this place called Velvet Taco. It was so good. You guys ever have a red velvet cake that you're like, somebody actually took the time and made this cake and made it taste as amazing as it is? So I just had that. And the low for today is that I am in Chicago and I am cold. So, of course, most of you who've been watching the channel, you know that I'm originally from Chicago. I relocated to Texas. It'll be 4 years this Thanksgiving, which it feels like it just flew by. But so I'm in Texas now, and I left there, it was about 92 degrees, and I landed here, and it was about 64 degrees. So that is quite a very large difference. So I'm just adjusting or reacclimating myself to the cold weather. But this is normally how it is this time of year in Chicago. All right, so back to the campaign, you guys. We're doing this for a few different reasons. One, we want to provide a complete picture of the industry. We spend a lot of time talking about testimonials and people who are doing well, people who have, $5,000 a month, $6,000 a month, $7,000 a month, $11,000 a month, and those stories are wonderful to share. But there's also some disadvantages that you guys should be aware of. So I want to paint a complete picture of both the good and the bad about the industry. We also, of course, want to allow folks an opportunity to register at a discount by tuning in and absorbing the content. But more important than that is to actually get on our email list because, we send out the discount codes to our email list first, and then, the social media platform kind of gets the leftover. So if you're not on our list, head to propertypreservationmastery.com to subscribe, complete our readiness assessment, and you will be automatically on the list and you will get those discount codes. If you don't see it in your inbox, do us a favor and check your spam or your promotions folder because sometimes they do land there. All right. All right. We're doing this campaign because we want folks to understand that paying your dues is a requirement to this industry and really just about every other real estate niche, whether people talk about it or not. There's no specialization that has low risk, low effort, no cash, no credit, where you can make a bunch of money. I feel like everybody is looking for that unicorn, but unfortunately, I don't believe that it exists. If you do find it in real estate, please do, make a video and tag me in it so that I can let everybody else know. Finally, Property Preservation Mastery is our flagship program and the second rung in our three-step value ladder, so to speak. So first is getting financially stable, taking care of the bare minimums. Second is launching a business that is profitable and starts to generate some level of surplus. And the third is investing that surplus and creating some truly passive income. So we haven't really talked much about that third step. That is coming in the fourth quarter. My partner Thomas and I will be launching Mindset to Money, and we'll be doing some promotion around that. So stay tuned for that. Back to property preservation though. So if you are someone who's interested in a truly recession-proof business that will eventually run on autopilot, notice I said eventually, not right away, then this is something that you'll want to pay attention to in terms of this particular campaign that we're running this month. If you're someone who's looking for an immediate ROI, this ain't it. But if you're willing to put in the work, quote unquote, pay your dues, study our blueprint and actually take action, you will get there as so many of our students have in the past. All right. Yesterday, again, we talked about preservation versus some other real estate niches. Today, we're talking about pretty much a lot of you have expressed this concern is what about contractors and, how do I manage, shady contractors and, what should I do? So I want to give you five, actually I got more than five, we'll just say 5 tips to avoid losing your contract to a shady contractor. I do want to make it clear that that is a very, it's not likely, but it's possible that that could happen. I haven't had it happen to me, but I have had it happen to some of my students and some of my peers where I know for a fact they've had their contracts pulled due to their contractors being shady. So in that light, first thing you want to do, you guys, and this is important, is don't pay people before reviewing the photos of the work that they claim to have submitted. So what you'll find that will happen in real life is that the contractor will finish their work and they'll start calling you like, hey, I finished, can I get paid? And this is regardless of whatever payment schedule you guys have. So I usually tell people to pay every 2 weeks. This is what I've always done in the past. Actually, I've done every week before too, but that kind of got to be too stressful. So every 2 weeks is what I recommend. And what you'll find is that folks will still want to get paid right away. So they'll start calling you, say, hey, I finished your work. You look at the photos. Hey, my light's about to get cut off. Hey, I'm about to be evicted. Hey, I got to go pick up my kids from a baby mama house. Like on and on and on. They'll start hitting you with all these stories. And if you're not careful, you kind of get sucked down into this rabbit hole before you know it. You're like, oh, I'll just go ahead and pay them. They probably did the work, or you do like a cursory inspection of the photos and it looks kind of okay. So you send them the money. And you find out that they have either not done the work at all or they've half-assed the work, and now you have to have somebody else go back and fix it. So again, the best way to solve for that is to not pay before you thoroughly review the photos and confirm that they did the work that they said that they were going to do. All right. Next tip is that I do recommend that you inspect larger work orders if at all possible. So inspect them personally or hire like a third-party inspector to kind of go behind the original contractor to review their work and make sure that they completed it. And I hate to make it sound like, contractors are so shady and they can't be trusted, but I mean, contractors a lot of times are shady and can't be trusted. So you just would always have that in the back of your mind. I mean, I'm pretty skeptical and cynical as a general rule, so I never really struggle with this. But for some of you, you may want to think the best of people and think that everybody is going to, do what they're supposed to do. That's usually not going to be the case. So again, you should go inspect larger dollar work items yourself, or have an inspector that you have on your team kind of on standby. Pay them 20, 25 bucks. Say, hey, go to this property, take these photos and make sure that they did X, Y, and Z. And then you do that before you send any money. All right. Next tip that I'll give you is to make sure that you have the personal and or business information for the contractor that you've hired for your team. So what do I mean by that? I mean their license, the driver's license copy, their social security number, card, a copy of that, or proof of their federal tax ID number. Like some people operate under a business, so they'll have an EIN, they don't want to give you their social, okay, whatever. Just make sure that you have that information as well. And you want to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I have to hunt them down if they do some shady, but actually that's not the real reason. The real reason is that anyone that you pay over $600 for the year, you're supposed to send them a 1099, which means that let's say they've made $17,000 in the 6 months that they've been working with you. So that means that they should then get a 1099 for $17,000. Well, some folks will give you a bogus social security number so that you can't find them and attach that income to their for purposes of the IRS. And so then instead of them paying taxes on that $17,000, you then have to count that $17,000 as income and subsequently pay taxes on it. So the way to avoid that is to get actual documentation from these people as opposed to just taking their word for it. All right. Another tip I'll give you is that you want to make sure that you hold on to their last check when they tell you that they're moving on to another company. And the reason for that is because if anyone is going to do something shady, it's probably going to be right around the time that they're leaving to go work for somebody else or go work for themselves or get their own contract or whatever the reason may be. So what you'll do in your onboarding documentation, when you bring them on board, is make sure they sign off on the form that says, hey, when you decide to part ways, that's cool. We'll hold on to your last check for 14 days, 21 days. Anything over that is pushing it and people are probably not going to go for it. But I think 14 days is reasonable. And that's just a way for you to make sure that, there's no gaps in what they said that they were going to complete for you, and that there's no chargebacks or issues that come up with any of the work orders that they have submitted already. Another tip I'll give you, and this might be hard for some of you, actually this is a struggle for me, is to not be too friendly with the contractors. And the reason for that is because people tend to, I don't want to say take advantage, but they tend to, if you make the relationship too free and open, you will start to get hit with a lot of personal information. You'll start to, feel sorry for people in certain situations that they say that they may be facing. And then you will bend on rules that you really shouldn't be bending upon. And so the way to get around that is to, again, not be too friendly. You don't have to be like, super bitchy or anything like that, but you should make it clear that this is a, contractor, business owner relationship, and we're not friends, we're not homies, we're not kicking it together, we're not, flirting with each other. You want to make sure that's made clear that you adhere to that. And the last tip I'll give you, and this is funny because this is so one of our students posted in the group how she had hired her ex-husband to do some work for her at one of the properties. And of course, the instructions that in the course are, you should tell everybody to take before, during, and after photos. Well, this might surprise you, but telling people to take before, during, and after photos is not as straightforward as it may sound. So some people interpret that as, I'll take before, during, and after, and they literally will take the same photo over and over and over from the same angle. What we mean by that is take pictures from different angles of whatever you're doing before you start, in process work photos, and after photos. And so this particular person, her ex-husband, he was doing a grass cut, and this guy took, I think she said 200 photos of him in the same spot. And it was a riding mower. And that was the picture that he submitted 200 times. So he literally clicked the button 200 times to take the photos, and that's what he gave her. So people are like, yeah, I took the photos. I did everything you asked me to do. Sometimes that's what they think that you mean. So the way to avoid that is to say, hey, take 25 before photos, 25 in process photos, 25 after photos, and then you can take it a step further and actually show examples of what the picture should look like. So show the photos should be from different angles. They should be photos during the daytime, because you have folks who will take pictures at night, just to say that they completed it. What I found over the years in this business and just in general is that folks will just like to say that things are done, and they don't really too much care about the how or the effectiveness of it being done. It's like, oh, it's done. I took photos, pay me my money. But it's like, no, fool, I can't use these pictures. For one, it's 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. I can't see anything. So think of it this way. If they can't verify the photos of, by they, I mean the preservation companies that you're partnered with, if they can't verify that you did the photos from the work that if they can't verify you did the work from the photos that you submitted, it means they're not going to pay you. That means that you're going to have a hard time paying the contractor. But the problem is that most contractors still want to get paid regardless of how shitty the work may have been throughout that you asked them to do. They literally don't care. They're like, well, I did what you asked me to do, so you should pay me. So to avoid all of that conflict and gray area and confusion, you want to be real specific and real clear up front when asking them to take photos. Tell them how many photos, tell them which angles, tell them the photos have to be taken during the daylight. The photos have to be not blurry, can be walking around and taking photos that, people can't see. So those are the instructions you want to provide. All right. So hopefully this information was super helpful. And again, we're doing this because I want to make sure that people know that there are significant advantages to being in preservation. One, the low barriers to entry, the fact that the startup costs are relatively small compared to things like property flipping. The upside is there, the recession-proof aspect of the industry. We do have folks who are still hitting $10,000 months or more during the pandemic, before the pandemic, and of course, well, we're still in the pandemic right now, so we still had people who are getting consistent work, and that there is tremendous upside potential in place, but there is some level of paying your dues and just understanding that you're not going to get your money back in 30 days, but you will get your money back if you put in the work. All right, my friends, I think that's all I want to cover for today. Again, if you're on our email list, you got a discount code today. I don't know what the exact dollar amount off is, but it's a pretty good discount. So make sure you check your inbox and your spam folder for that email with the discount code. It's going to expire soon. I think it's going to expire at midnight tonight. So you got a few hours to take advantage of that. So we hope that you would take advantage of that discounted offer before it expires. So you don't have to be yet another person sending an email saying, hey, I missed out. Can you send me a special discount code? Because the answer to that is going to be, unfortunately, no, we're not able to do that. All right. Over the next couple of days, we're going to talk about dealing with. So today we talked about contractors and just, how shady they can be sometimes intentionally, but also you do have contractors who are just incompetent. So we're going to address that and how to manage, those situations. We're going to talk about dealing with work orders with zero profits or very low profit margins. We'll address that. And then lastly, on the fifth day of the campaign, we'll talk about navigating companies that have refused to pay you or are what we call slow pay in the industry. So stay tuned for that. And again, every night for the next several nights at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time, that's where you can find this video airing live. It'll only be on YouTube for now. And then lastly, drop your questions, comments, concerns in the comments or chat box down below. Drop also your highs and lows as well. I want to hear from you guys with regard to that so that I can address those questions during our live Q&A session, which will take place on, what day is it taking place? September, hold on a second. September the 26th. I think in prior videos, I might have said the 28th. I was tweaking when I said that it's actually September the 26th, 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. We'll still have a couple more discounted offers available for you guys to take advantage of. And we hope that you come on over to hashtag Team Preservation to get your business started, launched, and you can have, the rest of this year to get your foundation in place so that you can continue to scale in 2022. All right. All right, my friends, as always, sending you guys love, light, peace, blessings, grace, and clarity. Until next time, bye-bye.